All aboard! Well, hello and welcome to this edition of Shaky Hands Shed, where we'll be taking the JOUEF SNCF 76001 diesel locomotive, and the aim is to make it a little bit less toy-like, and we're going to repair and weather it, repaint it and weather it. This is where we're starting. It was, if I can remember rightly, it was a £20 eBay bargain. It was probably less knowing me. Let's say £15. I'll be there on the button. But it was only cheap, you can pick them up for peanuts. This one I bought had a broken screen, so I bought an extra body to take the screens out of. And that yielded some screens after a bit of huffing and puffing, because they were glued in. Anyway, they're easy to separate, and straight away you can see the problem why it's a non-runner. It was sold as a non-runner. Straight away, to point the glaringly bloody obvious out. Wires going nowhere usually indicate the problem. Unless there's a reason they took the wires out, of course. Anyway, before I started painting, hold your hand still, boyo. I put some latex masking on it. Over the headlamp lenses. Because I couldn't push them out, I think they were glued in. So I weren't risking breakages. And here, it's being put into white primer. Spraying it into... It's only a basic pound shop white primer. Just so I can start putting the basic colours over it. I want a nice strong primer as well for the one that'll bond to the plastic well without actually crazing it. And what I'm doing here, I'm putting more latex masking fluid on where I want the locomotive to stay white. I'm using the primer for the white on it, which seems a logical idea, Captain Spock. Kirk. You can tell I don't watch Star Trek. And at this point I've also put masking tape on, and we're putting it into the proper blue. There is one photo of one red one of these. I'm presuming it's in preservation, and they've done it red because JOUEF has. If anybody else knows if they did work in red, but the only ones I've seen are blue ones. Go figure. Well, here we go, we're putting the quarter blue on. And these locomotives, the actual body lines here, they're in a dark blue. And after that, there were silver edging on stuff, and I've never really found an acrylic silver I'm fully happy with for working with. They spray okay, but for brush painting, just about my best favoured silver, and I think I may go back to it. Because on this one I'm putting... I'd use Umbral enamels, the 11 silver, I think, because it was an issue on my car restorations. because I put automotive clear coat on it and it affected the enamel. But with these I'm using polyurethane varnishes, so it won't affect enamels, so I may well start using Umbral 11 on these. Because for some reason, if they're not sprayed on, acrylic silvers just don't do it for me. They're not good coverers, they don't paint well. Anyway, I've decided it's going to be weathered, this one. And this is a slightly later variant of the logo, but it's where we're going to be aiming for. That sort of beautiful decay, should we say. Anyway, first step, what I'm doing, I'm brushing with black oil paint, somewhat watered down with turpentine, or white spirit, whichever it was. Ooh, one of the two. And what I'm doing, it's just to bring out details, drop into recesses, etc. I'm just brushing it all over it and then I wipe it off after. Just wipe it off with a cloth. And as we can see, it's just dropped black edgings into them. Which gives quite a nice effect. Anyway, next thing's next. I've got a sort of dirty grey colour for up on the roof. Hey man, I don't sing like that all the time. I normally sound like Rod Stewart. And anyway, here we go. I'm just giving it a dip in some pledge, or whatever it's called. It's a floor polish. And at this point I decided I bent some of my own handrails. The actual model had holes for handrails but didn't have handrails. Go figure, and I've not seen them on any of the others. So I think maybe they thought about putting them on, but because they were doing them down to a budget, I guess they didn't put them on. But I'm super gluing them on there. It adds a lot to it, to be honest. And at this point I'm using white oil paint to give faded areas on the paint. Works quite well. And here we see it just being dabbed on various areas. And what I do, work it in with a soft brush, work it around and manipulate it to where you want it to go, to represent water fading and sun fading. Just general weather wear. And at this point I'm putting a black acrylic wash in. I think I used the Vallejo premium one or whatever. Whatever, you could just as well use Citadel Nuln Oil or whoever's black wash you wanted to use. They're all much the same as. You can use enamel washes, whatever you want. You can make your own. I could just as well have mixed some of my oil paint up again and done it with the black oil paint. Anyway, here's a tip. For weathering powders, you can get artist soft pastels and actually crush them. If you get a cheap mortar and pestle, you can crush them and put in something like a empty Vallejo bottle, wash the Vallejo bottle out, thoroughly dry it, and you can fill it up with the crushed down artist pastels. They have various colours. That's a cheap set. You'll find them at places like the Works, or what you want is soft pastels, don't get oil pastels. And you can get them at cheap places like the Works, or you can go to proper artist shops. You can buy the colours individual. Some, for our purposes, do a set like this, which are basically earth pigments, but you're getting onto the expensive sets there. But it's, if you buy the cheaper pastels, it'll probably work out cheaper than Umbro's pastels in the bottle, and you're reusing your own paint, old paint bottles, etc. So it's a cheap way of doing it. I have a load. I do use other people's past weathering powders. I've got a couple of jars of Umbro, and I've got some very old cars weathering powders I dug up at my local modelling shop. Here I'm starting off with a darker colour. It's around the exhaust area, and what I'm doing, I'm using a polyurethane varnish, and I'm actually mixing the colours as I go. Actually on the local, I've got about 4 or 5 different colours of pastels off at the side, and I did all the roof, but I mix as I go. And what I do, I dab it on with a polyurethane matte or silk varnish. What you can do as you're doing that, because it's a powder and you're dabbing it down, you're actually building texture as well, so the rust looks like it has a texture to it. And at this point I'm just spraying the under chassis. I'm using Vallejo track colour, and at this point I'm going over it with Vallejo polyurethane varnish. I'm using satin or silk, whatever it is. At this point I'm using oil paint again, just to give a quick bit of filling up marks for the diesel. I'm going over with a couple of different weathering powders on the chassis, and on the roof I'm giving it another bit of weathering powders backwards and forwards, slightly different colours, because with rust nothing's just basic. And before I run it, I'm cleaning off the wheels after I've been spraying and stuff. Give them a cleaning out. I'm using IPA fluid on a cotton bud, cleaning off the paints and varnishes. And anyway, here we go, have a little bit of a run. Come back, boo doo doo doo, baby come back, doo doo. And here we go. Run, Forrest, run. And here we are, where we started. A cheap and not particularly nasty JOUEF locomotive. It were built down to a price, and here's what we've finished with. Look, not nicer looking, heavily weathered loco that should look nice on the layout once I start building one. When I build one, it'll be British outline, I think my layout's gonna be, but I'll be running anything on it. But as you can see, the weathering's turned out nice. I've also dry brushed it with a bit of silver to accentuate parts and give better view of things on the roof, like vents and around edges. So Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, please subscribe. If you subscribe, hit the bell icon, and tatty bye.